Hi and welcome to Dear Andy, where it's Final Four week, but we're still talking college football here at SI.com. Well, maybe a mix of college football and hoops. Let's get to these questions. This question comes from Donald. Dear Andy, with Oklahoma making the men's basketball and college football Final Fours, what are your best combo programs historically and in the last 10 years? Well, we could go back a little ways to the 1988-89 school year. The Michigan football team in 1988 won the Big Ten, won the Rose Bowl, and then the basketball team, there was some coaching drama that year. Football coach / AD Bo Schembechler famously said, Michigan will be coached by a Michigan man, and Steve Fisher took over and led the Wolverines to a basketball national title. But I don't think we need to go back that far to find the best one school year football-basketball combination. We just need to go back to the 2006-2007 school year. In 2006, Florida won the football national title. In the 06-07 basketball season, the Gators won their second consecutive basketball national title. So those two teams, the Florida team with Chris Leak at quarterback, Dallas Baker the touchdown maker, a great D-line, and a very young Tim Tebow and Percy Harvin contributing as freshmen, and then that basketball team led by Joakim Noah, Al Horford, and the rest of the 04s, that's a pretty unbeatable combination. Now, who'd they beat in both those title games? Ohio State. That's right, Ohio State lost the football national title game that year and lost the basketball national title game that school year. So the Buckeyes of that school year may actually be in second place because in any other year, I think Ohio State probably gets one or both of those titles. Just so happened they ran into Florida's best year. So I got to go with Florida 06-07 as the best football-basketball combo in the same year, although Oklahoma, if Buddy Hield and company win the national title, they're going to be right up there. This question comes from Craig. Who will be the Buddy Hield of college football next season? A very good player who becomes a transcendent one. Buddy Hield's been the most fun player to watch all basketball season. For those who haven't seen the Oklahoma guard because you're completely football obsessive, look up a highlight clip on YouTube. He is just a joy to watch. He has perfect, pure shooting stroke and always seems to be having fun on the court. Who's going to be that guy in football this year? I have an idea. I think it may be Ohio State quarterback J.T. Barrett. Now, I know J.T. Barrett is already recognized as a very good college football player, but I think this may be the year he makes a leap. Remember, J.T. Barrett got thrust into the starting role when Braxton Miller got hurt in the 2014 season. Barrett wasn't expecting to start, wound up starting the first 12 games, then had to be relieved by Cardale Jones because Barrett got hurt in the Michigan game. So he didn't get to lead the Buckeyes to the national title that year. Cardale Jones led them through the playoff. The following year, last season, there was the who's going to start, Cardale or JT. Jones wins the starting job out of camp. Barrett takes over. Barrett gets arrested for DUI. It never quite meshed. Barrett made a mistake. Let's get that out of the way first. But his teammates still view him as a very good leader. He's a guy people rally around. And with Ohio State replacing so many starters, he's going to be the guy they're all looking to. And look, it's not a matter of talent with Ohio State. They've got very good players. Whether Ohio State continues to be an elite team this year depends on getting experience and how well those players play together, their chemistry. J.T. Barrett helps with that chemistry. So if Ohio State has a special season, J.T. Barrett is probably going to be very much in the Heisman Trophy conversation, very transcendent as a quarterback. The difference between Hield and Barrett is Hield's skills look like they're going to translate to the NBA. Barrett doesn't necessarily translate to a great NFL quarterback if you look at his size, his frame, his arm, but he's a fantastic college quarterback. One thing that could help Barrett, if you watch the Buckeyes at the end of last season, they made a change where they moved offensive coordinator Ed Warner from the field to the press box. That allowed them to operate much faster. It looked a lot more like the offense that Tom Herman ran at Ohio State. They weren't sure they could make that a permanent change because Warner is so valuable down on the field, especially with a lot of young offensive linemen. In the offseason, they hired Greg Studrawa, who you may remember from LSU as a very good offensive line coach. So Studrawa, they call him Coach Stud, if you can't pronounce the name. Coach Stud and Ed Warner are going to split the offensive line duties. Should allow Warner to stay in the press box during games. It should allow Ohio State's offense to move fast, which should make Barrett look even better. And if he takes these inexperienced Ohio State offensive players and leads them to a good year, we very well may be talking about the best player in college football this year. This question comes from Jim. How many coaches will be or have been fired because of Nick Saban? He almost ran off Les Miles last year. That's exactly right, Jim. The losing the last 5 in a row against Alabama was the biggest reason for that attempted coup against Les Miles. Now, it didn't work, but if they lose to Alabama again and don't win every other game, there's still going to be a lot of angst on the Bayou. So how many coaches has Nick Saban claimed? It's hard to say because some of them he only gets partial credit for. For example, Tommy Tuberville getting fired by Auburn in 2008. 36-0 loss in the Iron Bowl to Saban's second Alabama team. That probably was the nail in the coffin, but Tuberville was probably on his way out. He'd had a very bad year that year. They weren't always happy with him anyway. Remember Jetgate? So let's give Saban partial credit for that one. Let's also give Saban partial credit for Mark Richt getting fired at Georgia. Now, some of the credit goes to Will Muschamp and Jim McElwain, who beat Richt in the Florida-Georgia games of 2014 and 2015, especially the McElwain one. If Richt wins that game, Georgia wins the East, everything's hunky-dory in Athens, probably. But the thing about it is people realize that Georgia has the tools, the access to talent, the roster, everything else to compete for national titles. It's not doing that. And I think Alabama's visit to Athens last year was very informative for the Bulldogs. I think they realized we need a program that looks a lot more like Nick Saban's program. So let's give Saban partial credit for that firing. And look, who'd they hire? Kirby Smart. I realize he went to Georgia, but he was Saban's defensive coordinator at Alabama. So now this year, Saban may claim some more jobs because going into the season, if you look at it objectively, there's a chance that Les Miles could be fired because he almost got fired last year. There's a chance Kevin Sumlin at Texas A&M could be fired. There's a chance Gus Malzahn at Auburn could be fired. If any of those happen, I think you can give at least partial credit to Saban. If it's Miles, I think you can give him 100% credit. But if it's Sumlin or Malzahn, it's at least 50 and probably more. So yes, Nick Saban has helped guys make a lot of money because he makes a lot of money. So the guys in his division are also paid a lot of money because everybody says, well, we need to be like Alabama. But he's also ratcheted up the pressure on them. They need to figure out how to beat him. To this point, only Hugh Freeze, who's beaten him in the last 2 years, has figured that out. So if those guys don't start beating him soon, he's going to take their jobs too.